Welcome to PS with Jen. Today's topic is about medical grade versus not medical grade skincare. This is not only for the consumer, but also for other providers. Two different people, two different scenarios. We have consumers that are confused, say that these things don't work for them, their skin doesn't respond to them, they're too sensitive, and they get overwhelmed, not knowing where to go. And we also have providers that really want to have thoughtful products, solutions, and strategies that support their clients' goals and outcomes. What I hear a lot from the client is that I've tried everything, but I still have no results. They lack clarity. They lack consistency. They're investing time, energy, and money, and they lack predictability. I try to teach the client that we have 3 skin cycles. They're each 6 weeks long. We want to make sure that we have the ability to actually heal and treat not just the symptoms, but the actual problem that is going on in the skin that's going to make us have a strong skin barrier. For providers, the real problem is that there's so many products available. There's new brands, new products in the product line, new recommendations, social media confusion. Clients are coming in, they're learning more, they're thinking they know, but we need to educate them about the variations of what this confusion is doing for them, why multiple skincare lines can create chaos, why not focusing on certain skincare lines that have potential to address all of the skin's needs. When we think about the skin as a whole, we really want to focus on that healing, that exfoliation, that balancing of pH, and making sure that our cell turnover and barrier function, controlling of oils are all being addressed and met. So today we're going to simplify things. What is the difference between medical grade skincare and not? And how we can think about the skin and strategize what it truly needs for the outcomes that we're trying to deliver. During our initial consultation, I'll meet clients who have tried all the things. They have tried multiple products, different lines. They're actually usually combining multiple different lines to meet the needs that they think is what's in their best interest. It's marketed well. They're most often moisturizing and moisturizing and moisturizing and hydrating the skin. They're not having much of a balance of pH. They're not toning. They're not exfoliating often enough. And this is because we have been drilled into our brains. This is the right way to do things. We're dry. So what do? We moisturize things down. And so as a provider, my goal is to help educate the person about the 3 skin cycles, about the functioning of the skin, about how to challenge it, not always doing something that feels comfortable. Moisturizing things down is great, but all that does is lead to dead skin cells piling up on the face, which exacerbates all of the things we do not want. So we don't want large pores. We don't want deeper lines and wrinkles. We don't want dull skin. And so when we go to pick a hyaluronic acid or a moisturizer or a vitamin C, our goal is to have an outcome. So understanding which product is going to deliver that outcome and the science behind it is always so important, because it's not my opinion. It's delivering outcomes based on science and predictable outcomes that we've been able to repeat no matter the age, stage, or concern at Powell Studio. For the consumer, we see many times that people say, I don't know what works for my skin. It's not for lack of trying. They really are looking at different products, trying to read about what it has potential to provide. But when you're using multiple product lines, there's ingredients that can overlap or maybe impede or inhibit the opportunity for it to maximize its potential. When we think about medical grade versus not, I'm always thinking about the potency and the amount of important ingredients to deliver the outcome we're trying to achieve. So when we think about what we want out of our skin care, it's not about treating the symptoms, but actual skin function. And so we want to repair the skin that is already not functioning well. How I know your skin is not functioning well is that it's rapidly aging, it's dull, it's got rosacea, it's acneic. We have all of these different pigments. And so when I look at you, I know that there's dysfunction in the skin. These are signs and symptoms that come along with a dysfunctional skin barrier and lack of barrier protection. I want to get to the root cause and make recommendations of a skincare line, which is going to be a few products, but doesn't have to be 100 products. We think about layering and stacking and creating an organization of our products in the morning and at night. Everyone's like, oh, I don't have time. But I promise you're putting in the effort. So we want to get you organized today, understanding what product line you want to use, how you want to simplify using a line that can have all of your products within it so that you don't create that confusion accidentally. I hear a lot, I'm using retinol twice a week, but there's no exfoliation in their plan. And so we want to teach them when you are using a retinol, you can make sure that you are aware that that's lifting dead skin off of the skin to create a challenge to the skin. It's about repair and recovery, but it's about challenging it to have next cell turnover. So if you don't exfoliate what it's lifted off, you've allowed it to lift all night long while you were sleeping and then lay back down because you didn't get off what was loose and ready to come off. Not everything has to be aggressive. We want to make sure that we are creating consistency in our plan and not having it be so angry all the time. Because I hear all the time, my skin's sensitized, I can't do that. Well, how bad do you want it? Our goal is to always teach someone about prevention instead of correction. And so if you can prevent and come in early and get things under wraps, being organized with your plan right out of the gate. I have so many teenagers in the office. It makes me so proud to know they're sunscreening and that they're keeping things simple but consistent so that their skin has the support it needs on a day-to-day basis. Why does our skin need support? Well, we have antioxidants, high stress, and it needs this ability to have some gentle exfoliation, to balance the pH in the skin, to cleanse it from all of that's going to fall on it while you're out and about, sweating, working out, applying makeup, or being out and about in your environment. There's perfumes and chemicals and things that you want to make sure that you are removing, but then we follow it with that gentle exfoliation that's going to allow for that stimulation of the skin, to oxygenate the skin, to empower the skin to have that gentle scrub. We use toner pads in the office, which are going to be based on oil or complexion renewal. And we want to make sure that we're balancing the pH. This allows for your products to truly absorb. If you have not done any of these starting points, you have dead skin that is getting thicker and thicker and thicker. It makes it more difficult for any of the products that you're putting on to penetrate the skin and to actually work at all. That's medical grade or not. You want to make sure that your skin is prepared and ready to actually absorb and to take on the products to deliver the outcome that we're looking for of rested, glowy, hydrated, strong, calm skin. I hear conflicting information about medical grade versus not. Is it really a real thing? Well, what I do know is that it's more about a provider being able to evaluate the skin, to make thoughtful recommendations about the space that the skin is starting in. So if you are, with sensitized skin, with a weakened barrier function, that we know that we need to start with healing and recovery in your first 6 weeks of treatment plan. And like I mentioned earlier, we have 3 skin cycles. They're each 6 weeks long, but by 18 weeks, you should have brandy new, strong skin that's predictable, which will in the end require less effort and less concerns about switching and navigating and overcoming challenges. We're really going to be in a strong state that we can be proud of, that makes us feel youthful and rested and refreshed. When we're buying other products that are at the store, these are meant to be tolerated by everybody. There's very low potency because that is not being monitored by a professional. And you want to make sure that there's low risk for the consumer to overdo it. And so how they may be okay, they may not hurt you or give you a little bit of redness or some challenges to overcome. They're also not challenging the skin. They're keeping you status quo. What's worse than that basic space? We don't want that. We want to tell the skin, like, I am aging, but I want my skin to stay strong, firm, healthy, supple, making sure it's hydrated and it's going to be protected no matter what environment I'm in. At Powell Studio, we're ZO exclusive. This came with a lot of thought process as a business owner because I love the other products. I actually thought when I first started with other skincare lines that they were a great stepping stone. It taught people about having a regimen. It kept them on track. It was not aggressive so that they stayed compliant. But when I thought about true repair and the outcomes that people were looking to drive, it was my responsibility to make sure I had an environment where I could make a thoughtful recommendation that I felt confident in, that was going to deliver predictable outcomes time and time again. As the consumers came in, they would pick from multiple different lines and they would be confused, and it would frustrate me. I would see, like, none of these products are bad, but they don't have the basics and the core functionality when you blend them together that I'm trying to drive, and it's actually creating more confusion in their skin. When I talk to other business owners, I'm questioning all the time because not that I don't learn about other skincare lines. Not that I don't stay attuned about the other options, but I also am trying to create compliance and make sure that I am building confidence in my patients that understand these are the steps I need to take to keep the goals that we are trying to align with. I want to know what they're thinking when they take on other skincare lines. And usually it's a pushback of, hey, they're too agitated if they use this type of skin line. Well, if you look at your skincare line, you take a step back, you can see that there are different points of reflection. So we have just the sensitized skin, and you can keep things as gentle as possible. What you're doing is always creating a core foundation of space where the skin is strong enough. Should the day come that they're ready to push it to the next space, they'll be prepared and ready for that. If they want a laser, if they want to do other collagen induction therapies in the office, if they want to make sure that the aging that they're noticing as they spend years in your office is ready for its next steps of retinol or chemical peels. Their skin will be conditioned and not sensitized anymore because they had followed your core steps. So in our office, we have a core basic of 5 products. So it's just a cleanser, it's exfoliating polish. I do those in the shower every morning, toner pads morning and night, making sure that my daily power defense is always applied. This allows for that cell turnover, that absorption of my products, that strong barrier function, and allows my skin to stay healthy and strong. I've had the opportunity to rebuttal both providers and patients many times over and over again. It's like, who needs that little baby needle in the emergency room? This is just what they've been convinced of, but you could get an 18 in them. These are different spaces that we need to teach them. My skin is sensitized. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to challenge you to make it strong. And here's how we're going to do it. I know based on science through the strategies of Dr. Obagi. And what I've learned is that I won't offer a product in here unless me and everyone in the team knows exactly what its functionality is. So that way, if someone comes in and they say like, oh, maybe I don't need that product anymore, we can help them truly understand like, hey, this is why it's important. If you're anything like me, I used to be like, oh, maybe I don't need the toner pads. But we have clear directions, clear steps of why you build off of your initial core or where the next steps are that you're going to take to drive that next extra drive home. As we work together, patient and provider, you want to make sure that you take the time to truly understand someone's place that they're starting in, what they have the toleration for. So you don't want to go driving retinol from the beginning because they are sensitized and they're going to be red and they're going to, get overwhelmed, and make sure that they tell you like, this product line isn't for me. And I let people get started on ZO when they're all or nothing. So when they come into my office, I'm guiding them. And if I have multiple skincare lines, I am going to create confusion for them. It's like, why do they want this one or this one? You're telling them that there's something wrong with the original one that you had and that there is areas where you might want to use some of the others. As a provider, I'm also trying to take into consideration your investment. And so some of the other lines actually may look a little less expensive, but if you look at the volume that comes in each bottle, how many pumps do you need to use? How often are you going to be replacing it? The same comes with some of our injectables. You think like, oh, that price is, less, but you actually have to do it more often in order to maintain that result. So are you saving in the long run? We try and organize this seamless approach because the outcomes are always being achieved. People don't question whether or not they're investing in the right thing. Where when people are coming in and they're navigating without a coach or without support and without navigation in your office as part of your treatment plan, they're struggling. They're not getting the outcomes. They're feeling defeated, or they're investing more in other services because they're not getting the outcome they look at as achievable. When I think about what we're doing in the office, I always tell someone, what you do at home every single day is always going to be more powerful than anything I can do in here 3 times a year, even once a month, because you need to precondition the skin and you also need those products to maintain your results. So we want to make sure that it's part of a thoughtful treatment plan. So the biggest mistake for both provider and consumer is that you can't out-inject, out-peel, out-medicate, or laser dysfunctional skin. We need to be preconditioned. We need to make sure that the skin health is there. I would every day, hands down, rather a patient that was going to have healthy skin through daily skincare routine than someone who wanted to jump into all of these other opportunities of services. As a consumer, your outcomes are not hitting your goals. And as a provider, your outcomes are inconsistent. Skincare is not separate from a treatment plan. It's the foundation. As a client, we need to ask smarter questions, not what product line should I use, but what is the dysfunction in my skin? Where are the areas that I can correct and improve? This will help guide strategy through a system, not random products, not random treatment lines, not confusion of trying to integrate multiple steps that really are working against each other. And as a provider, you want to work with systems and strategy. Less is more in this instance. When we are having our core foundation of products and we are creating consistent outcomes, we build strategy with our patients that deliver repeatable outcomes, also compliance, referrals, and a stronger business model overall. This is why at Powell Studio, we built everything on alignment. We want to deliver outcomes. And so this creates strategy, using less, performing with our ZO Skin Health, making sure that we are delivering thoughtful treatment plans and not multiple products to purchase and to navigate. At Powell Studio, we're not here to sell products. We're here to be intentional, creating strategy and treatment plans that you understand because you're educated and knowledgeable about the systems of your skin. This helps us to be a partner, a team, and make sure that your deliverable outcomes are natural, repeatable, consistent, and maintainable. So this episode is your sign to stop with the excuses. No more that doesn't work for me or my skin's too sensitive. You want to schedule your consultation with Powell Studio and start working with intention and strategy.